Hey, everybody. Just letting you know, I got a fever for bodybuilding. So I don't want to spread it, but fuck it. Welcome to the new show. This is Goon Cox, Muscle Talk on Muscular Development Magazine. My partner in crime, Mike Cox, MD's play-by-play guy for the up-and-coming New York Pro in Florida, Michael Cox.
Dude, this is phenomenal. Welcome. Thanks for having me. Looking for a good time. About time we get back to some bodybuilding. It's been long overdue. It's been slow. No Arnold Classic. It's just a weird time of year, man. Goddamn COVID, bro. So Indy's in a couple weeks, followed by New York Pro. Ready to roll.
Here we go. And we're joined today for our premiere episode by the man from Oslo, the Choco Viking, the man with just two initials, AJ.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me on your first show with you and Cox. What's it called again?
Goon and Cox, Muscle Talk. It rhymes.
It feels great to be back on the #1 bodybuilding platform in the world, Muscular Development. It's been hard with no bodybuild. Cox.
Yes, sir.
How did it go? No Arnold Classic. How are you feeling in March?
I remember that weekend vividly. I was sitting at work thinking, right now, I'd be screwing off at work, watching Arnold Classic on play-by-play. That Saturday, I woke up. I didn't wake up to the Arnold Classic, dude. I just woke up on a regular Saturday in March, the first Saturday in March with no Arnold Classic. Dude, I was at that show in 1989 in the very last row, and I've seen that show every year since then, and it left a void, bro. It's a huge void in our calendar. It's who we are. It's what we are, man. We live for this.
What's your favorite Arnold Classic moment, by the way?
1993, when Paul Dillette came, they had the guy's silhouette in the background. So when you saw his silhouette and those wide shoulders, there were audible gasps in the crowd because we didn't see the Iron Man the week before. This is no social media. So when he walked out, it was like a dinosaur or Frankenstein's monster walking on stage. It was ridiculous.
And Chris, one question before you ask us questions. Let us get some haters in for your new show. Who did you have in third place last year? Say it for the audience.
Who did I have in third? At the Arnold. I had Kuklo. And I stand by that decision. I stand by Steve Kuklo as being better than Rami on that given day.
Wow. How come?
Kuklo was in better condition. Rami wasn't in great condition for that show. Kuklo's also big, wide. He's getting better every year. He was more separated. He just brought a better package to that show.
You're going to get some haters for this, but let's go.
Of course I'm going to get some haters. And I wore this for you, AJ. Victory of Valhalla. Big thing for Norway.
Via Jamaica. It's important to have that in because they're thinking, how the hell can I be Norwegian? Well, who knows? But anyway.
Yep. So just to say, the bodybuilding season's starting, but we got some shit talk before the show's even.
Oh.
This is reminiscent of 2001 King Kamali. This is great. Bodybuilding can be kind of boring. It's not like MMA or boxing where they get in there and beat the crap out of each other. But for these guys, young guys, to be talking back and forth, it's great. It's a great hype for the show, man. I love it. Love it.
Can you fill us in with what you guys are talking about? What type of shit talking has been going on?
Okay, Young Blessing. How do you pronounce his last name? Abode.
Say that one more time for the audience.
How does we actually pronounce Blessing's last name?
No, say that. Say the name one more time. Not the what? What did you say?
Young Blessing Abode.
Cox, you try it.
Blessing Abadoa.
Abadoa. Okay, African.
Blessing A.
Blessing A. So Young Blessing started on Nick and saying that he needed to bring in his waist instead of telling him hit a vacuum. And then Nick basically says, "You're not my competition. I don't even have to worry about you. So why are you even talking?" And then Blessing kind of threw a few shots at Ian Valerie. and Ian didn't back down. So basically we have some shit talk, just some good old fashioned shit talk, which got us through the last couple of weeks.
It helped. It definitely helped.
So yeah, because since the season started, usually we have a lot of shows. Quick shout out, we have had, it's not exactly the same thing, but we have a lot of men's physique shows.
We've had 2 men's physique shows. We've had 4 shows overall. There was a bikini only show in Australia. Okay.
Yeah, Melissa Carver won that one, yes.
Yeah, Melissa Carver. And then we had a show, the Washock Warrior show in Salt Lake City, Utah. And then we had Corey Morris take men's physique. Corey has the guy with the great delts.
Have you
Really
seen him, Cox?
No, I haven't. Like, listen, those guys are cool, but I have not seen it yet. Not yet. No, I've got to do some homework.
He got, just for people at home, he got 12th the week before, and all of a sudden he won the next show with the same people in it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Yeah. And bikini, that show was Ashley Kauswasser was the win. And figure, this is another name I always mess up with. I know her.
the wife to Chris
Bojana-
Himes, Bojana, correct?
Yeah. Bojana Vasiljevic. She
Close enough.
had taken figure. And before that, the week before, there was a bikini only show in Orlando. And the winner there was Lauren Dynamilla.
Lauren Miller, she beat Ashley Cotwasser there for the win, yeah. And Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley came in third. Ashley came back again the week after and took first.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how tight bikini is. People really don't realize this. It's
They could flip flop every week, honestly. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
they could.
So back to the trash talking. That was the shows. The trash talk is what got us more hardcore bodybuilding fans. At least give us some blood. Like our blood got us, at least something happened, correct?
Right. It fires us up. It lets us know it's the appetizer for the meal to come, man. You know, it's the mozzarella sticks. It's the chicken wings. It like lets us know. It's almost like they're not going to have the big press conference like they have at the Olympia. So this like social media shit talk is like the press conference. And what it does is open up all the fans to a little bit of just pumpedness.
What makes it great, though, is that Blessing looks good, though. Like, he's got some freaky body parts to him. Nick's a freak, too. So, you know, those guys are kind of like apples and oranges, but like they're both posting pictures, so they're not kind of hiding away. They're showing what they got. But again, like we always say, pictures 3 weeks out don't equal what's on stage. Those last 24 to 48 hours can go bad. But I think Chad wouldn't work with Blessing if he didn't think he could win. You know what I mean? But it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting because you also got Justin. And if Hassan does that, then there's nobody's gonna be able to talk because Hassan just is big.
Well, Hassan and Nick Walker are the same height and weight. Like, you know, we're talking a couple centimeters, within a couple pounds. So basically, they're both big, thick, freaky guys. So for me, out of those two, it's ever who comes in more shredded.
Yeah, it's a conditioning game.
It's
You know,
conditioning.
you know, so but it makes it just so it's not so sleepy this time of year, man. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, football's over, basketball's getting started, playoffs, baseball just starting. Usually we have like the Arnold Classic on Australia. So I'm like super excited for just to see some meatheads. Just to smell the protein again, man. I just want to smell the protein.
I noticed how you guys barely even mentioned the number 1 ranked guy coming in. And who is that out of these guys?
Hassan.
Justin. He's the only Olympia guy we have in the show, and you can't even know his name.
Oh, Justin, definitely. I mean, personally, this is how I think the show is going to go, the New York Pro. I think it's going to be Nick, Hassan, Justin. But if either one of those guys are off, or both of them are off, Justin's going to take it.
If Chicago Justin shows up, but Chicago for me was probably better than the New York Pro. He looked so good in Chicago. That was the Justin we've all been waiting for. Like that physique is what we've been waiting for the past 5 years. Now, compared to how he was last year at this time, like at 4 weeks out for the O, he's not as sharp 4 weeks out, but those guys change so fast. So if he's a little bit watery in pictures now, that might not equate. But that dude, listen, I think Justin's a legit top 6 Olympia guy. You know, I've always thought that he's that good when he's on. You know, with changing coaches and just kind of, you know, whatever the reason, you know what I mean? But he's got that structure where he can like beat a lot of dudes.
AJ, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think Justin could have placed a bit higher last year at the Olympia?
Yes, of course. Many people had him a little bit higher, but with Justin, now he's changed back. He worked with Abdullah before. Then he worked with, was it AJ Sims?
AJ Sims.
And now all of a sudden we saw the switch back to Abdullah. I was, to be honest, when we saw the pictures of Justin 3 weeks ago, especially from the back, I was nervous. So I called Abdullah and asked, will he make it? Because he's supposed to win, correct? And he told me it was only brother. It's only water, brother. We remove water and he's shredded. Don't worry. And I will bring him 10 pounds heavier than the Olympia, he said. Big and full.
10 pounds heavier is going to be a problem. If he's 10 pounds heavier in great condition, that's going to be a problem for people.
That's going to be a problem for anyone.
Yeah. That's an impressive physique, man. He's got a waist, wide shoulders, and he's round. He's got that roundness and that kind of, almost kind of like that Brian Buchanan V taper in that front double bicep. Dude's legit.
And what about Hassan? Why is he so dangerous in your guys' opinion?
Let me start. Hassan's huge. He's freakish. He gets into pretty gnarly conditioning. He isn't the prettiest physique out there. I mean, to throw that, but he's huge. He's huge and he's lean. That's always a dangerous combination.
Dense muscle. Like in New York, when you saw him in New York, he wasn't 100%, but he's got, I don't know how much bigger he can get because he's got muscle everywhere. He's got like muscle like old school pros had, that real thick look to him, but he's so bubbly. Now, like I said, Chris, not the prettiest physique, not the prettiest, not the greatest structure, which may hurt. But if that comes in peeled, that's some crazy look, man. But again, we predict these shows based on when we think all these guys will be in shape. But we all know that a few guys are going to be off, one or two are going to nail it. So, but you hope that Hassan can nail it because that would be a crazy looking physique.
Who else do we have there? New York Pro Open. We also have Shaban, who made the Olympia in 2019. What do you guys think about him?
He's very good. I don't think he's going to crack the top 4, but he's a very good athlete.
He's good. He improved. I forgot what show he did last, but was it like Chicago? Maybe I think was the last show. Yeah. He improved a lot from the Olympia. That Olympia, he just didn't. I don't want to say he didn't belong because he earned that right. But from the Olympia to that last show, he made a lot of improvements, and he's trained with Charles Glass too. Again, cracking that top 3 will be difficult to do, but he's got a great physique. It's just these guys are so close, and we're nitpicking, right? We're like you're very nitpicking, and he's got a good look, but some of those guys may be a little bit more size.
And we also have another guy who had tremendous conditioning at last Arnold Classic. We have big man Morgan Oste. Can you do anything here?
I don't know, but I want to see him. He is just such a freak show. He's big, he's lean, he's fucking frightening. He looks like the villain in like a Conan movie, that's the shit you love to see. We love the freaks. He's a freak.
Dude, I'm a super aesthetic looking. I'm like those physiques, but this guy, he makes you sit up in your seat. That, like you said, that freak factor. We don't have there's a lot of freaks in the sport. They're all freaks, but we got super freaks. And this dude is a super freak that gets conditioned and dry. And I would love to look like that for one day, just walk down Clearwater Beach in a thong. like the mayor would always say. I mean, just to get the looks from those people would be phenomenal, man. But can he win? Maybe not. But that kind of guy, the crowd is gonna love that dude, man. I love that guy's a monster.
Because it was exciting to see a guy we've seen dwarfing people on Instagram for years, and all of a sudden he shows up and he's got the best top 2 condition. It's not. Is that often you see a guy that tall with the best conditioning in the show?
No.
That's
Tall
very
guys always try to play. They want to be fuller because when they, you're coaching someone taller and you're like, damn, I have to bring them in really full so they don't look stringy. But Morgan just went for it. He came in. I mean, it looked painful to be Morgan. He was so peeled. It looked like it absolutely just hurt. And that's
he got robbed. He got robbed, correct? Because he finished last place.
Oh, he got completely robbed.
He should have been way higher than that, man. Way higher. No way. That's not a last place physique. That kind of muscle and condition ever.
And he's going to be especially appreciated at the New York Pro. The New York Pro is the big man show. The New York Pro is like, bring out the freaks.
Love it. And it's just he's got something different. Like we've seen big guys before, like Kovacs and going back to Ralph Moeller. But this guy is something special, dude. Totally something special.
Like right now, granted, I'm not going to make any fans here. We have Jamie the Giant, who's, around the same height. Jamie has a prettier physique, prettier structure. But Morgan's the dude I want to see. Morgan's
going to get some hate from George now. George is DMing me now saying, what's Chris talking about? But okay.
Well, I can't say anything bad. It wasn't anything bad, but of the 2 big men, I said Jamie's the better bodybuilder. But I want to see Morgan because he is just so freaky.
When he walks out, you pay attention.
Yeah, he's like a giant Branch Warren.
Yes.
Not all that pretty, just gnarly, ripped, but he's also a giant.
Yeah. Good. Do we have a guest?
Well, hopefully, because what we just say, I'm throwing this out there. This is the first attempt, and technical difficulties abound. Hopefully, we'll have 212 contender, WeaponX, Derik Oslan.
So before we talk about the other divisions, you try now and contact Derik, Chris. While me and Cox, we can talk a little bit about the 212, why he sends the invitation. So we have the 212 show in Indy. We have Noel. You know Noel, the Mexican freak?
Yes.
We have Samir Trudy. We have Derik Oslan. And we have Chris Jewett.
Yeah. And is Austin Carr doing it too or no?
Who?
Austin Carr he took second at Chicago last year.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. So that's for Indy. So Indy Pro, it's got some great 212 talents, correct?
Correct. Jewett is looking absolutely insane right now. That picture he posted was just old school skinless. I mean, his glutes are in this far out. And so he's going to be in great shape. That guy's very, very scientific, very calculated, very cerebral. And he's gonna be in great shape. Listen, he was top 5, top 6 Olympia. Remember that only a couple years ago.
2 years ago. But what happened last year though?
Last year, I'm not sure what happened. He wasn't bad. He may have been he could have placed high. He wasn't as good as he was before, but I didn't think he was as bad as he looked. He didn't get a good call outs, but he looks like he's gonna redeem himself at this show.
And what about Samir Trudy? What do you like about his physique?
Samir's got that. He's got a kind of bubbly, round physique. It's just with him, it's that condition. You know what I mean? He has it. He's only nailed it a couple of times, but that dude, he's got a pretty physique, man. Just he flows so well. And remember, he used to post on MD a while back too, before we got a pro card. So you appreciate the hard work and following him through the ranks coming up, letting us in on his ascension to where he is now. So and I'm hoping he's a good guy. You want to see him do good too. You know what I mean?
And what about Noel Adame? Adame, or how do you pronounce it?
Adame, I believe. But freak, man.
Oh,
I
have you
love that
seen
kind
the
of
legs? Oy, oy, oy.
that's some silly stuff, man. That's real. That's next level, a different level type stuff, right? That's not normal. It's you know what I mean. So, but you hope he gets a good look and doesn't get overlooked. You know what I mean? Just it's not. I don't think nowadays it's much of a name game as it has been before. The judges will find. You know, we see that with different Mr. Olympias winning every year now, past couple years. So if you got the physique, they'll find you and they'll call you out. You know what I mean? And then you'll do well.
Do we have do you have your guest on? Because I'm a guest, so you're the host, Chris.
Yes,
do you have your guest on?
He just got his invite and he's gonna press it in a few minutes. So I just wanted to say about the 212 and all the other divisions. Because with COVID and everything, we can't get competitors lists out until people pass tests. That's just the way the new world is. But I'm saying if the stars align, we may get a great surprise because there just might be a great white shark circling down deep.
Oh.
Waiting for a surfer to come by.
Oh.
That's all I'm saying.
Wow. Is there some Flex Lewis is doing the show or?
I'm not even saying it's the 212. I'm just saying that there may be a surprise competitor that's just going to come up and like Jaws springing up on the hapless surfer or the hapless water skier.
Who could that be?
There's guys that don't post a lot that just show up. That you know we get so spoiled with update pictures and training videos. There's some guys that just like work in silence, man, and they just show up, or we haven't heard of them, or maybe some foreign guy that shows up that that freaks everybody out. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it great because you just never know.
Could it be Lionel Beke from France?
Dude, I would love if Lionel. Dude.
Yeah.
He's my new Cedric.
I love your passion, man. Like you're a fan to the end, bro. But I will say this: his last showing, he looked phenomenal. He was huge.
Who?
If he could ever get that shredded,
who?
Your boy Lionel Biecki.
And now, Chris, now you know that Cox been smoking some weed because Lionel got a disappointing 5th in Romania. He didn't have. He was out of shape and he only trained for 3 weeks. So what are you talking about?
That he looked good to me. He looked good to me.
He trained for 3 weeks and got 5th.
That's a surprise. Now imagine you train for like 20 weeks.
Dude, Biecki has such a good physique. You know this.
Yeah.
Dude, shape, structure, everything. Dude, he's like Cedric. He's that guy who, if it ever happens, it's going to be like, like everyone dance now.
Like when Ronnie did nail it.
Who wins if they're both are perfectly on? Beke or Cedric? If they're both are perfect condition and everything is popping. And Lionel's got crazy glutes are just shredded and his hams are hanging and everything. Who do you got then?
Lionel, because he gets that a little harder looking. You know what I mean? If you're 100%, right? Lionel gets that kind of granite hardness that even when Cedric won that Arnold, he wasn't like granite hard. Like Lionel's got that, he gets granite like. But if I was 6'10", I'd be in the NBA too. So
who do you have, Chris?
This is killing me, and I love Lionel. I have to pick Lionel over Cedric, but really? I love Cedric. Cedric's my binky. As Michael said, he gets harder. Cedric's always puffy. Like, Cedric's always very full, but Biecki has a little bit more depth to his physique, a little bit more thickness than Cedric.
He's got a freak factor. Like Lionel could be the kind of
he has more of a freak factor. And if you really want to get like pull straws, Biecki's waist is a little bit smaller than Cedric's as well.
Well, Lionel's going to be happy to hear this. Before Derik comes on, we have a big face-off at New York Pro in the women's physique, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Cox, Rachel Daniels versus Alicia Kessling. Who do you got?
Oh, I got to go. They're both very good, very similar physiques, right? Very similar structures. But if all things being equal, defending champion does get the nod. If it's all things being equal, but Daniels poses so perfectly. It's like watching watching Bob Harris pose. Her transitions, how she moves, she connects with the audience in an amazing. Like when she came out from New York last year, I just sat there in awe. How great she moved, how she presented her body. At least she's gonna do good. I saw pictures of her, man. She's kind of peeled. Glutes are in, tidy waist. She's a good poser too, man. But defending champion, you know that AJ always gets the nod, bro.
What about you, Chris? I'm gonna say that when she comes on later, by the way, what you said. But anyway, Chris.
Well, I'm gonna say one thing. I give the nod to experience. You know, someone who's been on the pro stage before. Your first show, you're gonna have some butterflies, for the most part. You know, obviously people don't, but Rachel doesn't look as crispy from her guest posing this far out as she did last year. You know,
but could it be that you remember the women's physique judging is a little bit what can we say?
Well, that's the
you
thing.
don't know what you're gonna get. Sometimes they're going for the shredded look. Sometimes they're going for the softer look. Could it be they told the athletes to calm it down?
I don't think so. I think last year was a message.
They want them shredded and hard as F.
Yeah, at the Olympia.
See, here's what's going to happen to that is what happened with women's bodybuilding, right? It started off with Corey and Anya, then moved to Linda and Laura, Kim. Then, like, Iris came, and she kept winning and winning. Remember, but women's physique, I like that shredded look, though, man. But when it comes down to it, it's still bodybuilding.
Well,
you know?
Here's the thing. Like, I think, like, Sarah and Alyssa have a smaller physique than a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You know, they're not carrying as much mass. And I equate WPD with like the classic for men's. You know, they're not carrying quite as much muscle, so I want to see them peeled.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it.
Did not come in as shredded though. Like you're just conditioned to push your body and get that lean look. But again, if you reward that at one show, you got to reward that the next show. You can't.
Exactly. That's how I'd like to see that rewarded, like the level of conditioning. And that's what's going to separate, I hope, women's bodybuilding from women's physique is going to be just size. Whereas the conditioning can be the same. Because you look at the men's divisions. Like, do you see any real difference in conditioning from WPD to classic to 212 to open? If you have to be peeled to win a show.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't
all I can say is that since I have my own women's bodybuilding channel, so we interview hundreds of women's physique girls, and they all say, well, the girls that win, we want to be shredded. We want to be the best condition we have. That's what we want to do. And because they're athletes, so they want to be the best they can be, you know?
Yep.
Coming in soft isn't, I mean, soft is for wellness. You know what I mean? Like, we want conditioned, hard, grainy muscle. And Chris said they're not huge. When you see those girls in clothes, you're shocked how small they are. You know what I mean? But like on stage, they just look shredded. And that's the point of the sport. You know what I mean? That's why we do it.
Yep. I mean, Rachel Daniels is a peanut.
Yeah.
I mean, before Derik comes on there, quick thing to the wellness. We have a huge, when this episode of Your Guys will be out this week,
Pittsburgh Pro, baby.
We have the biggest wellness show of all time. The Pittsburgh Pro, it's going down this weekend, and they got classic, and we don't even know any of the competitors doing it. We got men's physique. We don't know any of the competitors doing it. We got bikini. Lauren Miller, the champion, is doing it against Ashley.
Doing it.
But the wellness show, guys. We have Angela Borges. You know her, Cox.
Yes. Yeah. Is Shira doing the show as well?
And we have Yorishna.
Yes. Game over.
We're going to have a wellness war, guys.
wrap.
Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed because of the COVID times and the way things are shut down. There's a newer pro. She won a pro card last year. Her name's Jacinda,
Oh, yes.
and she's out of Australia. Dude,
Yes.
that girl has a very, very good physique.
She's not in the show, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she can't come because Australians can't leave Australia. They can leave, but they can't come back.
Why do you think the hype is so huge for this wellness show, guys? Why do you because it has more hype than the other division in this show. Why do you think that is?
How long have we wanted wellness? We have to really ask ourselves this. We've been talking about wellness for what? 5 years?
Yeah.
6 years? I'd say 2015, we started seeing the Brazilian wellness contests.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're seeing the wellness girls post. And let's face it, everyone likes the wellness girl look. I mean,
it's different than bikini. Listen, they're curvier.
yeah.
It's gonna be the judging gonna be a little bit different, but it's just something new. And they're a fuller looking body than bikini is. You know what I mean? Like the thing now is like big butts, and that's like Sir Mix-a-Lot said. You know what I mean? So this is what they're bringing, and this is what they're bringing. This is the money maker, and you know what I mean. So it'll be there's gonna be growing pains because there's gonna be some enhanced glutes that we're gonna obviously see, but the judges can work through that. It'll be very good. It makes the shows a lot longer as well, but you know, you're used.
So the reason for this wellness show is so big. Chris, are you there? Or are you?
Yeah, I'm letting someone into our show.
Okay. When he comes on, we will stop the wellness discussion. Is he on?
Yep. He is coming on. He's pressing his link, and it's going to take a minute or two.
Okay, so the wellness show now in Pittsburgh, guys. It has this is the Olympia qualifier. Top 2 gets Olympia, and this is the first wellness show where all the big stars are together. Because before it was only like one star, and the rest of the girl would just got a pro card switching from bikini. So now we have all the stars together, and it's in the Mannion's back house. And all the guys who've been pushing wellness, Robert Phil, you know, Johnny Styles, and all these people, everybody's going to be there, and everyone's been hyping it. And Angela, she's already Olympia qualified. Yorishna, the big star. So it's going to get really exciting, don't you think?
Yorishna to me is kind of like that. That's the look for this division. I think she'll win the show, and you know, I think going forward, that may be who's going to win that Olympia because she's got. I mean, everything is there, bro. There's nothing missing at all.
Derik is coming on, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to let him in because he's in the
Cox,
waiting room.
But let me see a bicep front double.
Leaner, get leaner, AJ.
What are you on now?
There.
What are you on now?
Just a little bit of test and some little bit of EQ.
That's all you need.
Dieting. That's it, dude. I'm eating clean 6 meals a day, doing 40 minutes of cardio. Like it's starting to click now.
6 meals a day? Is that with shakes or just meals?
Meals. 6 meals. 4 meals a day, bro. I'm like carbs like 150, maybe a little bit lower. 40 minutes
150 carbs. That's it.
Yeah.
And you still can train with full energy.
Yeah, I train at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, because I gotta be at work at 8:30, so I can get up, eat, go train, come back, shower, eat, go to work, get all my meals there, come home, do the cardio session. Like it's like clockwork, bro.
So you have a little bit carbs for breakfast and after workout, and that's about it.
That's it. That's it for those 2 meals. You know, but I don't feel crappy. I don't feel that bad. You know, you drag ass a little bit on leg day, but I don't feel that bad. I'm getting leaner.
What do you have the rest of the day? Just protein with vegetables or?
Vegetable, maybe like some protein and a little bit of fat, cashew with it. But that's what it is. You know, just keep it simple. I don't try to overthink shit. You know what I mean?
What show are you going for a show now or?
I'm trying to do Dexter's show the week before Tampa, July 31st. So
July 31st.
Yeah, in Jacksonville.
So that's about 12 weeks.
14 weeks. 14 weeks. 14 weeks.
Wow. So Chris, we're going to film this for you have to document this for your show because this show is going to be a huge game changer. So you need to film Cox then. when did you fall in love with bodybuilding, Cox?
1987. The first Olympia I was aware of was the 87 Olympia. You know what I mean?
Haney, huh?
Haney wanted to do, like, I would call Wayne D'Amelia's office because they had the numbers and flex to see who won the shows. You call his office like the Night of Champions, all that shit, bro. And I'd been in Cleveland. I was 2 hours from Columbus. So Arnold Classic in '89, did my first show in October '89. And that's all I've done, bro. Like that's all I know. Like I have no exit strategy from the shit.
Chris, do we have Derik or no?
I just sent him another invite. I'm waiting for it to pop up.
What about our other guest? When do you expect her?
Once again, technical difficulties because I am lame.
This is a fact, yes?
This is a fact. I resent an invite to Alyssa.
When is she coming on?
After Derik.
Okay. Does she know she has to wait a little bit?
Yes, that's what I've been trying to do.
Just checking.
Just let everyone know I grabbed the tablet for this. And the tablet was very because I was going to do 2 devices to get this going. But unfortunately, shit happens. I'm not a nerd. I'm a meathead.
Cox, you used to have one of the biggest threads or pages on Noble of all time. It was called, was it erotica page or what is it called again?
No, it was like some kind of like butt page or butt thing.
Butt page. Yes.
Yeah, dude, there's one on Get Big though that's been up there for like 6 years.
We don't promote other filth on MD. We only promote filth we have on MD. So how can you know if a girl's glutes are real or not? Since with wellness, since you said there's going to be some funky things going on, how can you tell?
You know, when you see like a glute ham tie-in, right? It's a nice tie-in to the hamstring. When you see that kind of glute and it kind of just stops, there's no real tie in there.
Okay.
It's suspicious. And you can see some of those girls, when you're up close, AJ, you can see the incision mark on their glute. So it's there's some, I mean, there's a few I've seen that you question, like, and it looks bad. Like when you see something like apparent, it looks bad. But I'm not saying they're all gonna have that, but I'm sure it's not just lunges they're doing. You know what I mean? Like kickbacks.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
So you Chris, are you okay down there?
I am trying to do technical things.
Ooh, where is Jen when we need her?
Exactly.
This is good, man.
I think maybe you need to edit some of this out. Maybe not just what I'm talking now. Maybe edit out, huh?
Yeah, no, we definitely need to edit some of this.
Do we have Derik?
He just accepted our contact request.
Okay.
So,
you know what? I'm also a little bit sad about, Cox, that there's no women's bodybuilding at New York Pro, really, and Indie.
Oh, seriously?
They have the class, but Andrea Shaw's not doing it. Margie's not doing it. Monique's not doing it.
There'll be some girls that do it that come out of the woodwork that might be, you know what I mean? That some fresh BB, man.
No.
Listen, Andrea's gonna keep that title for a minute. Andrea is that good.
Andrea Shaw, huh?
Andrea Shaw is phenomenal. Dude, when she looks, she's not Linda-esque. It's a different look than Linda.
Yes.
But her shape, everything was perfect. The skin color, the fullness, the suit, the presentation, the tan. It was phenomenal, man. Like I was so happy they were back on stage, bro.
For people who's not as experienced as ourselves, what do you mean skin color? What's a good skin color or a bad skin color? What do you put into those words?
It was a perfectly brown tan, no streaks, but also the red suit went perfectly with her skin tone. Like you see some people that got the tan's blotchy or it just drained. Remember when Dream Tan was big? That would just look muddy. But the makeup, her hair, not just her, but these women were so elegant, and to have that group of girls that year bring this Olympia back, it was so perfect, man, because the whole show was the best show I've ever seen, ever better than any Arnold I've seen. better than the
Really?
18 Olympia. The stage was so big, and the TVs, and just how Dan introduced it, and Dexter. It was one of those things where, because 2020 sucked so bad, that this was a perfect ending for our sport.
Oh,
week before
Chris,
Christmas.
the
It was just- it
2020 Olympia. It was.
It was just Janet finally won. You know what I mean? Like,
Janet Leho won. Her
He
dad, her dad. I think he passed away during prep. Correct? Or
Yeah.
got
got sick. It was sick, and then in fitness, she jumped off a cage,
and she lost, and then she won. They caught her in second, and then she won.
and Oksana came back, and the Oksana's routine, and Ariel finally made the top 5. It was the whole production.
Phil Heath. Have you forgotten our hero Phil Heath coming back?
Listen. I was just happy.
Here comes Derik.
Oh, okay, here comes Derik.
Here's Derik. They asked me about WeaponX, and I'm trying to inform them because I too am a geek.
I told them you stole it from Exhibit, but they said no.
It's from Alpha Flight, actually. Wolverine, when he was a member of the Canadian, he was Weapon X before he realized he was Wolverine.
He is correct.
Got it.
He is correct. That is where it came from.
So, Chris, this is actually your show and Cox show. I'm just a guest. I don't know why I'm introducing it, everyone. But
Yeah, exactly.
Derik, I told Chris that I was coming on his show and we were doing an Indie and New York Pro review. And I told him we have to have the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, Derik Oslan.
I like that. That was sweet. Sweet.
How are you feeling now, 2 weeks out before 8th of May, Indie Pro? How are you feeling?
I mean, physically, obviously, the prep takes a toll on you once you get below a certain number of weeks out, but mentally and emotionally, I couldn't be any more confident. I'm ready and I'm coming to win. End of story.
Just an interesting question, because you're doing the 2 shows. You're going for
Yes.
Indy and NY.
Yes.
For your prep, you planning on leaving yourself a little room to possibly switch your look between shows, like to come in fuller or leaner in between the one of the 2?
Yeah. So the plan is to come in, 3 to 4 pounds below the 212 limit for Indy, and that way I have a little bit of wiggle room going into the show the following week. And the cool thing is, since New York is in Tampa, I live 10 minutes from where the venue is. So it makes things very convenient for me for the Tampa show, because I don't have to worry about travel and water retention from flying and all that stuff.
Fantastic.
So yeah, you don't have to do a couple.
Scott Stevenson is helping you out, correct?
So Scott has been my training partner pretty much for the duration of this prep, along with one of my other friends, Jared. Scott was more than happy to. He's been training at my gym, mine and my fiance's gym, for quite some time, and especially when he found out that I had John Meadows, Mountain Dog, doing my training, he was more than happy to come, because him and John have been friends for a long time, and he just wanted to be part of the process and just help me get through my sessions, make sure I'm executing and all of those things. So he's been an invaluable resource.
Awesome.
I like the way you started it, Derik, because I remember 2018, I think it was, you were really on the rise. We were like, wow, this is going to be the next big thing.
Yep.
Then you a little bit disappointing. I think it was early 2019, and we didn't write you off, but we were worried.
Of course.
And then in 2020, you came back with a bang, but your Olympia, we wanted you even higher.
So did I.
So I like the way you start off, I'm going to win. What has happened since the Olympia in your mind?
Well, the critiques that I got after the Olympia from Steve and from Tyler were they wanted more chest, they wanted more arms. So that's exactly what I did. Everything is bigger. The measurements are there. Now I'm in a position where I have to really, I was already pushing the 212 limit as it was, and now I have to really squeeze in. So, we've been able to add a few pounds of tissue, but now I'm tasked with the insurmountable objective of making sure I get under 212. But that's going to happen. I'm not worried about it.
how do you put more size on your arms and your chest, as you said? What did you, how do you do that?
So I'm a firm believer in increasing volume of your training through frequency. So I knew, you know, I'm pretty strong. I move some pretty heavy weight. I knew that the next step in my physique, while increasing my strength, was being able to intellectually add more volume to my training. That's where John came in, because I only know 2 gears, 0 and overdrive. So I know me, if I continued to try and program my training and try to do it, you know, incorporate that extra volume, I would have went from, okay, I'm only doing 2 sets of everything. I'm going to do 4 sets of everything. I'm going to do drop sets. I'm going to do partials. I'm going to do force reps, and I'm just going to go balls to the wall. And that's just what I know. So I needed someone who could intellectually program those things in, and also tell me when I need to slow the hell down and chill, because I'll always go to the absolute extreme when it comes to my training and my cardio and all of that stuff. So basically that's where John and Scott are there. They're my brakes. I don't need a gas pedal. I need a brake. And that's where they come in. And they've been, like I said, invaluable tools and resources in making sure that I'm doing what I need to do.
And there's another aspect. You're probably one of the best posers of the 212 division.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I even remember you as an amateur. You was just deadly.
Yeah, I practice literally every day, off season and in prep. Doesn't matter. I want to make sure. Basically, I approach my posing as if I'm like, okay, if Steve Weinberger walked in my door right now and said, hey, I'm going to give you a ticket to the Olympia if you can nail every single pose perfectly, that's going to be the easiest Olympia qualification I've ever gotten. That's how I treat it. I always want to be prepared.
Now, being a Connecticut guy, did you have an opportunity to work with Kenny a lot?
Oh yeah, Kenny's a good friend of mine. In fact, I could, if I needed posing right now, like I'm hurting, I need help. If I called him right now, he would probably drop whatever he was doing to help me out. Kenny's been awesome. I've started working. He was actually the first person that taught me posing back in 2014 because he was at the Montanari Powerhouse Gym. So he was one of the first people I met when I joined. So yeah, Kenny's been awesome.
Oh, for everyone out there, we're talking about Kenny Waller, posing guru, coach extraordinaire.
Yes, he's great. And you need to hire him if you haven't.
To be back on that, like, how much time do you actually put in your pose, as far as how many weeks out do you start? How many, as long as the sessions are, just to give some of the people an idea of what a pro bodybuilder has to do. And you guys make it look effortless on stage. For you, your mandatories are almost flawless when you hit them. So what kind of work goes into making that look so easy?
So I guess the things to remember is, obviously your off-season look and your pre-contest look are going to be different. So the way that you hit your poses is going to evolve the closer you get to a show and the leaner you are. Hopefully you have improved in your off-season. So if you've improved in your off-season, your pre-contest look is going to be different than your last pre-contest look. So the way you hit poses isn't going to be exactly the same every single time. If it is, and it still looks good, then chances are you haven't improved at all, and or you don't practice your posing. Probably both. So I mean, like I said, I go through my posing every day. Obviously in the off season, I probably spend about 5 to 10 minutes a day, one time, just to kind of keep things fresh in my mind. When I'm in pre-contest, like right now, I'm going through my posing pretty much 3 times a day. The length of time varies. It all depends on what I feel I need to be working on. So like in the morning after my cardio, I go through a few rounds of posing. At the end of my training session, I go through a few rounds of posing. So Scott will usually drill me at the end of my training session, and however long it takes. If I'm nailing everything and I'm perfect and I'm holding on my poses for the required time, then we go through a couple rounds and I keep it moving, and then I'll practice at home. But the main 2 times is after cardio and after training, because those are when I'm the most tired. So I figure if I can nail my posing and have my posing conditioning, i.e. your ability to hold your poses for a long period of time, if I can do that while I'm out of breath after I just did an hour on the stairs, and I can do it after I just spent an hour and a half training, then when I'm on stage and I'm fresh, then it's going to be easy.
For all you kids out there, holding your poses.
Good question.
Is what won Ram the Olympia last year. He was
Yes.
the first person in his pose, and he was the last person
out.
Pose.
Mm-hmm.
It did not get gassed. There's nothing that will get you. You could have the greatest physique on stage. You're getting gassed, and your stomach's coming out, and you're heavy breathing on stage. You're not going to win that show.
Another thing I want to add to that is I find that a lot of amateurs tend to do this a lot because they see some of the pros do it, is they add too many theatrics into their posing. Save the theatrics for your posing routine where they belong, because people spend too much time winding up and like, and you know, whatever. And then by the time they actually hit the shot, you know, especially if it's Steve, he's already on to the next shot. You've lost that pose by default because you took too long to get into it. Snappy, get it in, hold it, statuesque, and then be the last one out of it, and then move on to the next shot.
Yeah,
Great
you need to put
point.
a teacher for some of those kids now. Like that's an invaluable advice because you see those kids on stage, and you know, because Kevin Levrone can do a side chest that way, everybody can't. So that's great advice for people out there listening to this.
And also another thing is, like, when people hit poses, sometimes they do a lot of shifting and moving around while they're in the pose. Like if they're doing like an ab and thigh and they're like this and they're like this and like that. As a spectator, as someone who's watching the show, that's very distracting in a bad way. To me, I immediately think, oh, this dude doesn't know how to pose or he hasn't practiced. So he's moving around to distract you from the fact that he's not breathing properly and he's gassed out or whatever. So as opposed to someone who just hits it, nails it, you don't see their stomach move at all. Everything is just, you know, picture perfect and still. To me, that's more impressive.
Yes.
And like, especially on the amateur level, like you're dealing with big shows like the Southern States or the big regionals in the NPC Northeast. Some shows have 800 different competitors, you know, from the different divisions.
Yep.
They're looking through people. They want to move because they're going to be, you know, they want prejudging to end before 5 o'clock. So they can get the night show.
Yeah, I hear that. Man, those my early days, the amateur shows used to be so long. But then again, we also, when I was an amateur, there were a lot more bodybuilders as well.
Oh, yeah.
So the shows definitely lasted a little bit longer because of that, because we all had to do routines. But I miss those days sometimes.
What? You don't like the thousands of men's physique guys in each show?
Oh God. Well, but at least with them, they get on stage individually for like 15 seconds. They hit 3 shots and then they're off the stage. So yeah, there's a lot of them, but they're not on for a long time. So it doesn't seem, from that perspective, it doesn't seem quite as, you know, as much drudgery to watch because you're constantly seeing a new body. Now, if they did those 3 poses for 90 seconds, a clip, then you're like, bro, come on, man. You're doing the same thing. Like, let's go.
That's where classic on the amateur level gets a little bit long.
Yes.
You have so many competitors and everyone's doing their, you know, intro routine. And it's like, God, we're going down to class F in this today. You know what I mean?
Yes. Which is, you know, obviously it's not that bad if everybody's impressive. Then you're like, holy shit, like this is going to be a good show. Like I can't wait for the call out. But, you know, if you have a bunch of guys doing that and doing all the theatrics and all of those extra things with a subpar physique, you know, it can be tough to watch sometimes.
Yeah. You're a bodybuilder. You're not a matador.
That's right. That's right.
You know, keep the jazz hands, you know, to a minimum.
So, Cox, let me ask you a question up there.
Yes.
We got Samir Trudy, Jewett, and Noel there, and more guys too, of course. What does Derik need to do to beat them?
Be honest, I won't get offended at all. I promise.
Come on, Cox. You've seen them all. You're the play-by-play on MD.
Yes.
So you've seen them all. What does he need to do, and what can happen if he's not on point?
Here's the thing. In New York, was it New York last year or New York?
Yeah.
Okay. Derik, you were what, third, right? I believe.
No, I was 5th. I got 3rd at Tampa.
Okay, I'm sorry, at Tampa. You were 5th in New York, really?
Yeah.
I didn't think you. Okay, I'm just okay. But the physique, what I saw, it's got very little flaws. Posing's phenomenal. It's just, just nailing condition. That's all really. And it's who nails it on that day. You know what I mean? So
yes,
those last 24 to 48 hours, anything can happen. But I think when Derik comes out, I was sitting next to Ryan, and like you kind of perk up because the structure is so good. The front of a bicep, that tiny waist, the presentation, and you made a lot of improvements as well to last year, like size-wise. It was just a big jump. You know what I mean? So to
Yes.
AJ, Derik got everything he needs, man. It's just that who nails it on that particular day. And again, like I said earlier, because you see some guys 3 weeks out that are peeled online, doesn't mean that's what's going to show up the day of the show. You know what I mean? So that's
3 weeks out peeled online with a professional photographer and the perfect lighting and all that stuff. That's another thing. That's another thing too. So when I post my pictures, they're never like post workout or, you know, filtered or with a professional camera, any of that. It's usually right after I've done an hour of cardio, I've gone through a couple rounds of posing, and I'm fully depleted because I want, if my worst look is improving, then I'm not going to be my worst on stage. I'm going to be at my best. So
right.
I just wanted to add that in.
And how do you deal with those guys? I'm sure you get kind of hate online too, guys kind of talking trash. How do you deal with those people not letting that negativity affect you? Because some people on social media let that negativity eat at them and it kills them and they go back and forth. How do you avoid letting that negativity affect you and just prepping for the show?
Well, they're not doing my prep. They're not doing my cardio. They're not eating my food. They're not doing my training. So why should I give a shit about what they have to say? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but but even more importantly than that, I have such a strong support system that is so uplifting and encouraging, as well as making sure that I stay 110% on my grind. That's my wall. That's my negativity wall right there, is my support system. So there's nothing getting through that anyway. But so by the time it even gets through that to me, I care even less about it, because I have so much good and positive in my life that I can rely on. Should anything try to, you know, succeed in finding a chink in the armor, which it doesn't.
Speaking of, just one quick question about, I saw your wife,
Sure.
Anastasia.
Yep, you got it.
Is she competing now? What's going on there?
She is in prep. I am not allowed to reveal what it is that she's doing. She made it very clear. I'm not allowed to tell anybody. Just know that she will be joining me in the pro ranks after this year. That much I will say.
We saw her last year. She did very well in the, I think it was the MPC. I can't remember. She got second, correct, in overall, or?
No, so she did. So she's been a women's physique competitor pretty much the majority of the time that we've been together. And she decided that she was going to take a crack at women's bodybuilding, kind of for fun, really. And she ended up winning the overall. And she did women's physique and women's bodybuilding at the MPC Ty Pope in Orlando. And she ended up winning the overall in both.
Wow.
So like, okay, now we have a choice. So, but she, you know, she had been committed to women's physique and really wanted to see it through. So she did North Americans at in women's physique, which ended up being the same weekend as the New York Pro. So I wasn't able to go watch. But she was gigantic next to these other women. Like it was like, here's everybody else, and then here's her, like looking like a cheat code on stage. So basically, they were like, you need to be women's bodybuilding. They were like, if you had done women's bodybuilding in this show, you probably would have won. So thus began the journey. So she did do the Chicago Pro last year. She ended up getting third, but at that point, we had both been dieting since January. She was just worn out, and worn out physically, and worn out mentally, and that does take a toll on you from a physical standpoint. Though that stress, that physiological stress, will manifest outwardly in your physique. So
cortisol,
that won't be an issue this year. Yeah, cortisol's what it is.
Well, Cox, you want to say something?
No, I just want to say, just real quick, is it, when you guys prep together, is that an issue, or how do you guys handle that kind of like, that kind of was taboo back in the day, that, two bodybuilders prepping together,
Yeah. This is actually a good question. Just because, with competing being so much more popular now, I'm sure there are a lot of couples that do prep together, or at the very least, are competing within similar time frames. It can be bad in the sense of, so in the beginning of us being together, we were both in prep and we were both competing at relatively the same time. So we got to see pretty much the worst sides of each other right out of the gate. And even still, the good parts of each of us kept each other around. Now, fast forward 3 years, and we're no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, we're fiance now. We're getting married, we're engaged. The biggest thing is just having really good communication and preemptive communication. For example, I woke up the other day and I was just irritated. Like, my food is low, my cardio is high, and I was just mad. And I had no reason to be mad. So I knew I was feeling that when I woke up. So I shot her a text and I just said, hey, I'm up, I'm getting ready for the day. Because she was already at the gym working. And I was just like, I'm feeling some type of way. I don't have any reason why, but I'm having a hard time right now. So if I seem a little off or quiet, like it has nothing to do with you. Like, we're good. I'm just going through it right now. So when she knows that if when I come in and I just go straight to the Stairmaster with my hoodie on, that there's nothing wrong, that she knows what's going on. So communication, like just being super, super clear with your intent and where you are and what you're dealing with is so crucial, not just from a relationship maintenance standpoint, but it makes you guys stronger as a couple, and allows the other person to be supportive in the way that you need them to be. So great question. I think more people need to practice that.
Speaking of couples, how you liking WandaVision?
You know what? I actually don't have Disney Plus, so I haven't watched it.
Yes, we do.
Do you have Disney Plus?
What are you guys talking about now?
Oh, it's a Marvel show. So you haven't watched any of the Marvel movies, have you?
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a spin-off off of the Avengers where they're focused on 2 of the characters. Okay. I didn't know. I forgot we had Disney Plus. I haven't been watching it. I did just watch the Mortal Kombat movie, by the way. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm not going to say anything about the movie. All I'm going to say is I thought it was trash. I was so upset. I hated it. I hated it. I can't say more without spoiling the movie for anyone that hasn't watched it. So I don't want to go into huge details, but I felt like I watched 2 separate movies, the beginning and then the rest of it. It seemed like they just there was just a different direction they went in, somewhere in the middle, and it just threw everything. I didn't like it, but anyway, don't want to throw that out there.
I haven't heard good things about the movie at all.
No, I hated it. Anastasia actually fell asleep like halfway through, and she was like, "Oh, I'm upset that I didn't see the whole movie. I fell asleep." I was like, "Don't waste your time. Don't even bother. Find something else."
Well, we wanted to have you on before with our Indie Pro and New York Pro, review, isn't it, guys?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
one quick question, because we're not going to ask you about the 212.
You're not going to ask me what?
When I'm not going to ask you for 212 prediction, because I know you have yourself
Good
as
question.
number 1. Who do you have as the top 3 at the New York Pro?
Open.
For the Open?
Yeah, because I know you are going to come in first at the New York Pro in the 212.
He's not doing New York Pro if he's winning Indy, are you?
Yes, I am. Why not?
Okay.
It's right here. It doesn't it's not inconvenient. Now, if it was in New York, I probably wouldn't. But
okay,
it's right here. It's literally 10 minutes from my house. So, it's not a huge inconvenience for me to do it. But top 3, I'm just thinking, because obviously we don't know everybody that's doing it. There could be some people who, end up on the competitor list that we just didn't think of. But out of everyone that I know is doing it, man, I don't know who's going to win, but I think my top 2 for sure, 1 and 2 in some order, is going to be Hassan and Rodriguez. Just the way that Justin transforms in those last few weeks of prep, it doesn't even make sense. I don't know how he does it, But like he'll go from like you'll see him at 4 weeks out. You're like, there's no way he's gonna be ready. He's gonna be sloppy. Like, and the next thing you know, he's absolutely peeled out of his mind. And I love it. I love that stuff. Justin's actually a buddy of mine. So I think those two. And then in that third spot, I'm gonna put Blessing. I think Blessing will get top 3.
Nice.
Because we were worried for Justin too 3-4 weeks ago. we were a little bit worried.
But the thing is, we're always worried about Justin.
Yeah.
You know, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks out. We all are. And then every single time he just like I don't know. I have to know what he does. It's incredible.
Magician.
Interesting.
He is a magician. So that's my call.
Well,
Who's the open at the Indy? I only know a couple guys.
There's open at Indy. I have a friend of mine called Roy Evans. He went from Classic to the Open. Do you guys know him?
Mm-hmm.
But the other guys doing open, like the big names, we have no. Nick Walker's not doing it. Justin is not doing it. Blessing is not doing it. So we
Blessing is doing it.
Blessing. I think Nick's doing it too. I think Nick's doing Indy too.
I think Nick is doing it too as well.
they're changing their minds, Nick.
Well, here's the thing. I think a lot of guys, if they're not ready for Indy, or they feel
How
they're
they gonna
not
be ready for New York?
they're going to be ready for New York. So I think that's why we're getting a little bit of hesitation, you know, to commitments to the shows. That's,
Yep.
Yeah.
you know, and I think a lot of the guys, if they think they're going to have one chance to place, are going to want to try to place higher at New York because of the points.
Yeah. To AJ, because you had asked me, or you had mentioned that, you know, if I win Indy, you know, why would I do New York? And honestly, I have an answer to that, and that is, so if we look back into the 90s and the early 2000s, right, and you look at men's bodybuilding, at any given show that you went to as a spectator, as an audience member, as a fan, you were more than likely going to see one, if not multiple, of your favorite bodybuilders competing, which makes it entertaining and it makes it fun. I feel like a lot of that has gotten away from the sport in terms of deliverance of the fanfare, right? I value it as a fan, being able to go to multiple shows, attend and watch and enjoy it from a non-critical perspective and see my favorite guys compete. So now that I'm weirdly enough at that type of level, I want to be able to do that for people as well who want to see great competition, and they don't want to see people just, you know, one and done, or like, oh, he's already qualified for the Olympia. All right, we're not going to see him again for 9 months, like that, you know, that kind of thing. I really want to, it's really important to me to kind of rekindle the 90s-esque fires of competitive bodybuilding from that regard.
And as a
That's
fan,
a good answer.
You know what I mean? Like as a fan, I appreciate like Derik doing these shows and all these other guys doing these shows, the name guys. You know what I mean? Because like I said, in the 90s, Flex, Chris, they all competed, Ironman, Arnold, Night of Champions. You like seeing those guys on stage. You know what I mean? So it makes, when you see a competitor list and, you know, you got all these big names on there, you're interested. You're excited. You know what I mean? It brings some excitement to the sport, which is what bodybuilders compete. That's what they do. You know what I mean? You know, one and done's great. I understand it's for your body, but as a fan, we want to see these guys on the circuit, you know, compete as much as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially a week away. And the other reality is, if you win Indy, you're probably going to win New York. It doesn't hurt to have a second paycheck.
Right. And also, let's say I win Indy and I got second at New York or whatever. No one's going to be like, oh, Derik isn't going to do anything at the Olympia because he got second in New York. Like, I know how this works. I'm not, you know, not a big deal. What matters is game day. Doesn't matter what happened 6 months prior. So
it's exciting. We're already looking at this. It's so much. The 212 is so much more exciting now than before. I gotta say, it's really picked up. It's really picked up thanks to guys like you and Jason Lowe and Bo Lewis, and it's exciting times for 212. And we're so excited, Derik, for this Indy. For us bodybuilding fans, Derik, we have been struggling.
Oh yeah, it's been rough. Trust me, same here.
We've been struggling hard, Derik. We've been struggling so hard. So
the season's close.
Exciting.
The season's close. It's just 2 weeks away. You can hang in there. You'll be all right.
Oh,
Mike and
gonna be
Derik
great.
are FLA guys. So you guys have like a bit of freedom. The rest of us have been like locked up, waiting for our gyms to close down. Like, is this the last day I'm going to train for the next 3 months? You know?
We're not calling anytime soon, bro.
Listen, I'm so glad I cleared out of there when I did. I'll never have to see another snowflake again in my life unless it's by choice. And we're living the dream out here. Life is good. I can't complain.
82 degrees today, man. It was 82 and sunny, no humidity, nothing.
Yes. Wonderful. When walked my dog in a tank top, and this morning it was great.
Yeah, life's good.
Yeah, I don't know what the temperature is because they don't let us go out.
Gross. Ew.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Derik, and we will be watching on stream because the show will be streamed. I hope
it will be streamed. Yes, it is. Yes. If you go on the Indie Pro, IFBB Indie Pro Instagram, they already posted about it. It will be streamed.
Yep.
Yes.
Bob, check is the MC.
Yeah. Any shout outs to your sponsors or someone?
Well, I just got sponsored. I am now the featured athlete of True Nutrition, owned by Dante Trudell. I just signed that contract earlier in the week, and then they just made the post yesterday. So they're going to be riding with me for the 2021 season into the Olympia, because I will be in the Olympia and I will be top 5. End of story. So there's them. Obviously, my gym, our gym, FAM Tampa, Flex Appeal Miami in Tampa. If you're ever in our area, please come check us out. And obviously, last but not least, well, actually, no, my prep coach, Will Castillo, he's been awesome. He's had the reins this entire time and has done so good by me. I love that man. And I mentioned John and Scott. And lastly, I'm staring at her, my beautiful fiance, Anastasia Ryder, who I will be getting married to in February of next year.
Congratulations, brother.
Congrats, bro.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Derik.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derik.
All right. Thank you for watching the debut episode of Goon Cox Muscle Talk. And we'd like to thank AJ, our man, our brother from another mother, the dude from Oslo, for helping us out today with some guests and just moral support and everything else. And with this show, both Mike and I have a history of competitors and coaching. We want to bring a little bit of the coaching knowledge and maybe a little bit of the, like, as Mike said, what he's running. We will be talking about things like that, and those will be questions. This is a PG talk show.
Big shout out to MD for having us on, man. It's kind of takes you back to when you were a kid. Who ever thought that I'd be on a muscular development like camera? You know what I mean? Just big shout out to that. AJ, appreciate you coming on. Even though back in the day I didn't know you were a real person. Y'all thought you were somebody else. But much appreciated. Derik Oslan, thank you, sir, for coming on. Much appreciated. And we'll be bringing you some good stuff.
And guys, the bodybuilding season, it's coming soon. Are we excited?
We are excited. We're barking like dogs. We're so excited. You hear me? I was barking like a dog.
Can't wait, man.
Okay, guys. Thank you for having me on. And Musk Development is number
one, numero uno.
And there you go.
The real deal, Holyfield. Thank you, guys.
Let's go.
Let's go. Later. Peace out.
Bye.